What's going on, everybody? David here, back with another video. So a couple of weeks ago, I posted a video about the $200 raise for Social Security. And at the end of this video, I will post a link so you guys can check it out. But I want to talk a little bit about it now, do another update, because we're at a situation now where we've seen the stimulus package that we're looking at now go through. We're looking at Biden's proposal, this new infrastructure bill. It's going to be two parts, so we're looking at that. And no mention of this $200 raise for Social Security. So the question you have to ask yourself is it dead? And if it is dead, can it be revived? So that's what we're going to talk about today. But first off, you guys can do me a favor. Please hit the like button. It does help with the YouTube algorithm. Also, please subscribe to the channel. Hit that little bell notification. That way you'll get notified anytime we put out a video. Okay, so I got a comment here that I'm going to show you guys real quick. And then we're going to talk a little bit about my feelings on this comment. So here's Susan, and I appreciate your honesty, Susan. She's saying, yeah, I would stop talking about the $200 a month because nobody's going to get it. And I will say, I will admit that at this point, the $200 raise for Social Security is dead. Okay, that's my opinion. And I'm going to explain to you the reasons why I think it's dead. And then at the end, I'm going to talk a little bit about why I don't think it's over. It could be revived, but at this point, it is dead. And it started with Elizabeth Warren, Senator Warren. She brought it up last year, and she talked a little bit about, we should be raising this Social Security to $200 for Social Security recipients as well as SSI, SSDI. And it kind of grew legs from there, and you had some other politicians jump on board. You even had Majority Leader Schumer say that he's for it as well. And then Biden backed it up as well. But now, the last several months, you haven't heard any talk about the $200 raise for Social Security. And usually what that means, that's a huge indicator. And what it means is it's being forgotten. These politicians are forgetting to mention, or purposely forgetting to mention, the $200 raise for Social Security. We saw the stimulus package that we're looking at right now went through, nothing about a $200 raise. Now we've just seen them unveil the first part of the infrastructure bill, Biden's proposal for the infrastructure bill. Nothing in there about a $200 raise for Social Security. And fair enough, there was no other raise. The $15 an hour minimum wage was another thing, right? They were talking about that for a while. And as of the last couple of weeks, you haven't heard much about this $15 an hour minimum wage. And so usually when that starts happening, politicians are trying to move to the next thing. And so it's our responsibility to hold politicians accountable for what they're saying. So if they're saying they want to do this raise, this $200 raise for Social Security, you need to hold them to that and bring it right back around to, well, you said that you were for this $200 raise for Social Security. And now we have platforms that we didn't have in the past. So it's a lot easier to connect with politicians. Because back in the day, you had to call their office, leave a message, or talk with someone. You're not talking to the actual politician. And a lot of stuff can get lost. Or you can do it really old-fashioned and write them a letter and send it to them. But now we have social media. Now we have Twitter. Now we have Facebook. Now we have YouTube. And so we can reach out much quicker to these politicians, and there's a record of it. If you tweet someone, one of the politicians, you send them a tweet, there's a record of that. And a lot of times you get responses from other people as well. And so now we're in a different area when it comes to holding politicians accountable. When I start doing videos, and I've been doing these stimulus check videos for about a year now. Actually, it's over a year now, just over a year. And what I found doing these videos But first, I'm talking about stimulus checks and, trying to help people out and let them know, hey, yeah, you qualify, all that. But after the first stimulus check, I think it was April 23rd, I did a video of last year. I did a video saying that we would be receiving a second stimulus check. And you check, go back April 23rd. I was one of the first people, as far as YouTubers, that were talking about another stimulus check. And I laid out the reasons why I thought we would see another stimulus check. Now, to be fair, I said that we would receive one before the election because I thought that was probably the way it should happen. Even to this day, I think that's the way it should have happened. And it could have changed the direction of the election. But nonetheless, I said we would receive a second stimulus check. And the big part of the updates from that point on wasn't really about the stimulus checks, but it was about how the politicians are reacting to the promises that they made. And so on my channel, when I was talking about these different updates, daily updates, I was focused on the politicians. What are they saying? Who's saying that they want to pause? Who's saying that they're for stimulus checks? Who's saying that they're against stimulus checks? I was trying to make people aware of how these politicians felt about certain things, because they could be a politician you voted for. And you might think, you know what, this politician's for the American people. And then you realize, you know what, he doesn't want to do stimulus checks. He thinks we spent too much money. But I want stimulus checks. So maybe that'll change the way that you see this politician, and maybe you won't vote for this politician, you'll vote for someone else. And then hold that person accountable for the things that they're saying. And so when it comes to this $200 raise at this point, I do think it's dead, but I think it could be revived. And the way that it gets revived is by having people speak out and say, this is what we want. It's not acceptable for us not to get this. Now, in all fairness, 2021, that's when they want to do the raise, just for 2021. So it wasn't going to be anything permanent. That doesn't mean that it can't be extended, because realistically, what we're looking at now, we're looking at this infrastructure bill that Biden wants to get through. He has a proposal. It's going to have to go to Congress. Congress is going to have to look at it. They're going to have to pick it apart and see what they can put in it, what they can't put in it. It does not mean if they don't have it in there right now, which they don't have the $200 raise in there right now, it doesn't mean they can't add it. If they get enough people that are speaking out saying, yes, we want this, it doesn't mean that it can't be added. So you need to keep talking about it. And so that's the only issue that I have with Susan's comment. I do believe at this point it is dead. But if you stop talking about it, it will completely die. There's no way that you can revive it at that point. But if you start talking about it and you start demanding, and I've had this in my description over a year now, where I have that information. You can call your congresspeople, you can tweet them, you can reach out to them in different ways. You can reach out to them via YouTube. All you need to do is hit the little share button and send that to them. Send my link to them so they see that there's support for this $200 raise for Social Security. That's all you need to do. Or if you don't want to send my videos, send one of your favorite content creators that's talking about the same topic to these different congresspeople. Now, they might not be watching their Twitter feed. Okay, not everyone is President Trump where he watches his own feed, but they have social media staff that's their job to watch and monitor social media, and they will let the politicians know, look, we're getting a lot of people that are talking about this $200 raise for Social Security. I think maybe this is something that we're going to need to address. And so that's what I have to say about that. I think you need to continue. If you really want something, you need to continue talking about it. Because what's the saying? How does it go? If you don't ask, then the answer is always no. So you have to get out there. You have to let these politicians know exactly what you want. And that's what I plan to continue focusing on this channel. I want to focus on these politicians. And if they present a policy, let's follow it through. Let's see where it goes. If it's something for the American people, those are the different proposals and policies that I'm going to be focused on. So you know the politicians who are for the American people and the politicians who are not for the American people are for different entities, maybe corporations or something like that. Because ultimately, we pay their salaries, we pay taxes every year, and we should expect to get something in return. And you have politicians making all these promises, and then when it comes down to it, if it's not an election year, they kind of ease off of it. And if people don't talk about it anymore, then they move on to the next thing. Or they will bring it back during an election year. So we're not in an election year right now. But guess what? Next year, that's an election year. So you might hear some more politicians talking about it in 2022. But if we don't hold their feet to the fire, they're going to forget. They're going to forget. And so that is our job. You have to look at it like this. We're supervising them. Okay? They work for us. We need to watch them, make sure they're doing their job. If they say they're going to do something, just like if you're supervising someone and they say they're going to do something, you're going to watch them to make sure they do it. And if they don't, then you're going to call them out for not doing it. And if enough people are calling them out, they're going to go ahead and move forward and say, you know what? I did make this promise. I'm going to do everything I can to get this done. I have two more things I want to talk about really quickly. First, we're going to talk about the giveaway. We did a giveaway on Instagram yesterday, and Zach, you are the winner, so congratulations. And thank you guys all for participating. And then we have a question, and the question is, do you think the $200 raise can be revived? Let me know down below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more, and I'll talk to you in the next one.